Hi, I'm Victor Margiotta, and this is the Community Show. Before we get started, I just want to thank my crew. I want to thank Kaz, Jim, Cecilia, thanks Joe, and Helen. Without these guys, this show would be non-existent. So right off the bat, I just want to thank you guys and appreciate it. My guest tonight is John Vargo, and we are in for a treat. Verplank will be put in the history books after this show because we have so much to talk about. So I just have to throw a couple of names out there. I want to thank Tony Campia from Angela's Delicatessen right there in Verplank. Watches the show, and I want to thank him for watching. And of course, Rose Constantino. Thanks for watching, Rose. So, John, thank you so much for coming on.
Good to see you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I don't know where to start, so I guess we'll start with the...
Well, let's start with this picture.
Okay.
It'll just say that this is probably one of the most thrilling rides I ever had on an ice boat.
Okay.
And we'll go from there and back all the way up to maybe when I was 10 or 11 on Lake Meehaw, ice boating. How old are you?
I'm going to be 50 soon.
And I'm 78, so
Okay.
I've got a couple of years on you.
All right, couple.
But I do have a lot of experience on Lake Meehaw ice boating. That's where I started and moved on from there. Ask me a question.
Well, I can remember when I was a kid, and the biggest thrill for me was going down ice skating on Lake Meehaw.
Yeah.
And to see you guys ice boating on there. Now, they were a lot smaller.
Well, they were usually homemade. They weren't the big ice boats. This happens to be the largest ice boat in the world.
It's incredible.
But the ones that we had were homemade copies of original ice boats that were on the Hudson River before they were on the lake. Actually, in the 30s, Bat Mitchell and that crowd were all ice boating on the river. Then when the river was opened up by the Coast Guard, the channel, that finished the ice boating as they knew it.
Yeah.
And they moved their ice boats to Lake Meehaw. And in the summertime, the boats laid on the shore, and in the wintertime, they put the runners on and put them on the ice. It was nothing compared to ice boating on the Hudson.
Yeah.
And then that was the where we ice boated, where I learned. I can remember I would wait until the antenna on the house was humming. You know, you could hear it, this is
Yeah.
a good night. And
Yeah.
we'd go in my father's dugout, get a gallon of homemade wine, and build a fire in one of the coves and go out and sail till 9, 10 o'clock at night. It was great.
Oh, man.
And I was only 12, 13, but it was terrific.
Oh,
It really
excellent.
was.
Now, they weren't made out of wood, those ice boats.
Yes, they were.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
the backbone and they're made out of wood with cotton sails and
Okay.
a steel shoe on the bottom. Actually, those runners are still being used on other ice boats. You never threw a runner away. You kept it, and they changed the boats. But and of course, nobody ice boats on the lake anymore.
No.
Actually, the lake has changed. When they filled in the west side of the lake, it changed the configuration of the way the ice forms and the wind. The same air holes are there. The air holes are really springs, but it's definitely changed.
Yeah.
It just doesn't freeze like it used to.
Well, they changed the floodgate, too, finally.
Oh, they did a nice job. Lake Meehaw
Yeah.
is in great shape.
Yes.
Wonderful shape. Plenty of fish, nice and clean, and they did a wonderful job in the past 10, 15 years.
Yes.
Lake Meehaw has come back wonderfully.
Now,
Really
they were
has.
having a problem with the grass that was growing up from the bottom?
Well,
of
they
the-
changed that. I think they took some professional advice from the DEC and others,
Yeah.
and they don't have that problem. The grass is still there,
Yeah.
but the lake has got plenty of beautiful fish in it, black bass, crappies, yellow perch, sunnies, and a lot of carp. And no, the lake is in good shape. It
Yeah.
really is.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it's in wonderful
Well,
shape.
even the Hudson itself is a lot cleaner than it was
Oh my
for a
God,
while
when
now.
I was 4 or 5 years old swimming over by Bub's Beach,
Yeah.
you used to swim like this, you know. And now, of course, the river's in wonderful shape.
Yeah.
The Hudson River has probably improved by 75% from when I was a child. The 3-stage sewage treatment plants, and the pollution controls that have been put in place have really done a wonderful job of cleaning the Hudson. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity put on the river by people trying to raise more money for their organizations. And it's a sad situation because we should be enjoying the Hudson River, and instead some powerful groups have put controls on the Hudson River that in people's minds, probably in your mind at 48 you said?
Yep.
At 48, still think the river's dirty, dead, and polluted. It's in wonderful shape.
No,
Really is.
I believe it's in great shape. Because I'll never forget when I was in first or second grade and I saw a Time magazine with a picture of the Hudson River and the pollution.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, well, I must be smarter than politicians or industry because I would never dump stuff into there. I mean, this is a natural resource. This is
Well,
something.
the Harmon Yards had a permanent oil slick that ran out into the river. When I flew over it, we flew out of the seaplane base all the time, you could see the slick. So that was running General Motors. You could tell the cars that were painted by the color of the river, you know. So that was there, and the dumps. There were dumps across the river from us that burnt. Croton Point was burning all the time. It was always caught on fire 2 or 3 times a week. So the dump fires, a lot of things have changed, and unfortunately, the generations that came up behind me, you especially, haven't seen the changes that I have. It's really improved dramatically. It really has.
Now, you were able to ice boat on the Hudson.
We
for a
had this
long time.
boat on the Hudson. This boat was rebuilt in 1973. It's an original boat, belonged to the Roosevelt family. It's 54 foot long, 24 foot wide, has 755 square foot of sail. We took the original boat, which was in the Maritime Museum in Kingston, and we copied the lines. We went to, I was Commodore of the club in '73 when we built that boat. We went to the state of Washington and cut a tree down, a 90-foot spruce tree, a big one. And we let it fall into a brook, and it laid in the brook for a year. It was brought back here by Condon's Lumber in White Plains. They sliced it up into planks. And then the third year, we made that boat one night a week, and one Tuesday night a week in Newburgh, in someone's cellar, huge cellar. And in 1973, we christened it on Orange Lake in Newburgh.
Oh, yeah.
It had old baggy sails on it. The original sails hardly went with the baggy sails. But French television came along and offered us a new suit of sails if we would allow them to shoot it. And that picture was done on Lake Winnipesaukee in '91, and it was probably the thrill of my life. To hike that boat, up there. We actually broke the boat right after that. We fixed it the following week, but then snapped the jaws on the gaff. But that's what West System is made for.
What did letting the wood sit in the water, what did that do?
It seasoned it.
Okay.
It seasoned it, kept it moist, kept it alive.
Right.
And then when they cut it up and we brought it back, it was great. The plank it's a beautiful boat. Even people who, you have to see it to believe it. The plank is not laid like this, it's laid on end. When it flexes much better than it would if they were the old-fashioned way, like this. There's all kinds of modern things into it. The glue is a West System epoxy. There's steel. The two pieces of the main backbone are spliced together with an aluminum spline. You can't see it, so we cheated a lot. We cheated because we used to compete against Red Bank, and Red Bank would do everything they could to try to beat us, and we brought this down. There was a $14,000 cup that they had that we wanted, and it was blood, really blood.
Competition is good.
Oh boy, competition was something. So they built another one, even a little bigger, but a Marconi rig, not a Gaff rig. This is a Gaff, and a Marconi would be straight up all the way to the top. But again, we cheated because that Gaff is peaked so high, it's almost a Marconi rather. So it's a lot of fun competing.
Now the rails are made out of metal. Were they made out of wood?
The
at one
runners
time?
are 6 foot long, and they're cast steel. They are original, and they were built in 1895, I think, something like that. So was the tiller. The tiller on it, the back runner, each side of the runner are original runners, 1895. Yes, absolutely.
Now you always have to go in the direction of the wind, or you?
No. Again, we cheated. The old boats had a big baggy sail, and you had a pretty well run down wind. But this is a super designed super designed Dacron sail with the battens placed properly, and it becomes an airfoil. It's really the foil of the sail that makes you go fast. We've had that boat to 80. On Winnipesaukee, between one shore and the other, there's 12 miles, and Rick and I had it going at least 80, and it just take your breath away. I had no idea whether we were going to turn or not. His arms are like this. You could not hold the tiller. I mean, he did, and it came out of it.
Oh. Now, what makes it tilt like that, and how come it didn't fall over?
Oh, because I'm holding the sheet, and I'm controlling it with the sheet. I had the sheet, and Rick had the tiller. So I could make it go up and down like a puppet by just playing the sheet, and that's what I was doing. We had a lot of cameras there, and we were showing off. So. And believe it or not, the air temperature was 60 degrees, and the ice was 30 inches thick, and there were cars out of the picture all over the ice, and when we did that, it was just great.
I always wanted to do it. And like I said, when I was a kid, I saw it. And it
I'll
was,
call you, we still do it. That's
yeah.
one thing we do. We go ice boating, we never tell anybody where we are
No.
till after it's over.
Okay.
And then we say, boy, we had a great weekend.
Well, I'm a skier. I love to ski.
Oh.
I'm a speed demon.
Really?
I usually have to go with somebody that just likes to bomb the hill like I do, because otherwise I'm standing there waiting, then fly down and then stand there and wait.
You don't want to get in anybody's way.
No, that's for sure. And I want to get right back down so I can get up again.
Where do you ski?
Well, I love Hunter and Wyndham. I've been to Vermont quite a bit.
Which is the fastest hill?
Well, Hunter's got a lot of straight
Really?
down. Yeah.
And is it
so-
because of the conditions that make you go
Well,
fast?
conditions, more or less, but I'm just built for speed.
No, I mean the conditions after a rain or as a powder or...
Well, you don't want to ski when it's icy, that's for sure. I try to avoid that. But, it's not like skiing out west where they get a ton of snow and it's just powder.
Have you raced?
I haven't, no. I work in a restaurant, the Paradise in Verplank, and, I just get one day off, so that's usually a Monday, which is great because then, you get there, there's nobody there,
I love the Paradise. Your father and his brother, I was the bane of them in 1954, 55, and 56. 19 years old, drinking half bottles of booze on Friday night till Monday on White Beach.
Yeah.
Coming in there in a bathing suit. Get out, you can't come in here like that. We're coming in. A whole bunch. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Hey, we drove, poor Tony especially.
Yeah.
Your father would just scowl, but Tony, he really got mad. And your grandfather was sitting there in a chair with a cane. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
He had a restaurant too, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a restaurant down in the city, down in the Bronx.
And that came from?
Well, they moved up to Verplank in 1947, and they've been there ever since. So.
Did your grandfather start that restaurant, or was
The
it?
three of them, my grandfather, my father, and my uncle. So.
Yeah, your grandfather was there every single night.
Oh,
He never
sure.
left.
No.
Yeah, and when did he pass?
I think 65, same year I was born. So
Ah.
it might have been 64. And,
Okay. See, I remember him so well.
Yeah, I never
I
got to
remember a
meet him, but-
1954 Ford with overdrive. We used to go up and down Broadway. It's a wonder we're still alive. I swear to God,
Yeah, I know. I mean, we used to do the same thing when I was young.
That's
But,
crazy. I love Verplank. Verplank was wonderful.
It is. It still is.
Yeah, it still is.
It's beautiful. And, a lot of people take it for granted that the Hudson is right there.
Yeah, they don't use it
And
like they should.
no.
Not at all. They don't.
And my brother had gotten a jet ski, and it just opened up a whole world for him. He just
Right
loved
now
it.
he has one?
He had it. He hasn't had the time now to use it, but
I have 3.
do you? All right, we'll come and borrow yours then.
I just got a 2012, a super duper one.
Oh my gosh!
It'll do 74 and more.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how you can be in Haverstraw in 2 minutes, right?
Well, it depends on the weather conditions, but you can be anywhere. And that's why you like them. You jump on them, you go, and you come back,
yeah.
Actually, we're going to be announcing a patent-pending product on a jet ski very shortly.
Now you already have a patent.
I have
on
number
something.
patents, yeah,
Yeah.
on a credit card telephone booth.
Okay.
And everybody said, especially somebody when they're drunk, said, Mr. Vargo, you are just a little bit behind and everything. There's a $50,000 booth sitting in my yard,
my
but
gosh.
everybody said, why don't you get rid of that piece of junk? I said, no, it was a mistake. So I tried it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
And
now
it's
I've
a-
got this.
Yeah. Now it's a piece of history.
Yeah, and now I got the magazine.
Yeah. And tell us about that. When did you start that?
No, I didn't start it. The magazine was 10 years old when I bought it. I bought it in 2000. It was 45 pages, and today it's over 100 pages. It's doing very well. And poor Rose Cosentino, who you and I both love,
Yep.
she can't wait to get the next one.
Yeah.
So do a lot of other people. They love the magazine.
I love it too.
It's a mix
got a
of
lot in it.
Yeah, a lot of personal history and things that just makes it a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying my later years. And other people say that that idiot had done that when he was 45, he'd be a multimillionaire.
Yeah, I know.
But it's still a lot of fun. There's a lot of wonderful people that work on it, and we all get along very well. It's great. There's probably 12, 15 people that write for it.
Now, are you the salesman? Do you go out and
I
get
sell, and I also edit and do everything. I work 7 days a week on it. Never stop. My wife passed away in March, and I haven't quit.
Sorry.
I'm still doing it. So I really enjoy it. actually keeps me going.
Yeah,
You know.
and it gives you something that you love, and
Yeah.
that's so big. Now, there's the idea of this show is to try and get people involved in the community,
Uh-huh.
and whether it be joining the fire department or just getting involved in the church or any kind of community things that are going on. What are some of the community things that you do?
What I used to do.
Okay.
I've been involved in Verplank for a long time, but now I devote most of my time here.
Yes.
What I do is I strongly support the wounded warriors,
Okay.
especially the ones at West Point. In fact, we've taken groups out on the river. There's an awful lot of expert striped bass fishermen on the Hudson River, and those guys volunteer their time, and we take them out fishing, and they catch big bass, and they wonder how they ever caught them in the Hudson River. West Point just can't believe that anybody could catch those kind of fish in the river. But with the right people fishing, you can do it. And I never go fishing unless I got an expert with me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I do. I do quite a few things, helping other people as much as I can. And I just have a wonderful life. I really do. At 78, I couldn't be happier.
Excellent.
I really am. Yeah. Marvelous.
Well, I was raised in a big family, and
I'll say. The biggest, I would think.
I think
Yeah.
with 10 kids.
Yeah.
But the best is the family parties, and everybody from an infant to an 80-year-old person, and everybody's happy.
Absolutely.
And you just, you never worry about your age.
No,
you
the
know?
Vargo clan was the same way. They
Yep.
went until they quit. They all lived on Henry Street in Buchanan, and they built their own houses. We built our house ourselves, and that's the way we were, and just did it. It worked
Yeah.
out great. It really did. I say we lived in the best of times. There's no
I think
question.
so.
We lived in the best of times.
Yeah.
We had a sense of freedom that young people today do not have. They don't know they don't have it because they never saw it any other way. But when somebody like myself or somebody my age comes along and they say, well, you should have seen the way it used to be. I mean, you can remember when people were walking down the street with shotguns in Verplank, or whatever they were doing,
Yeah.
and all that is gone. My God, today there'd be SWAT teams
Yeah.
on top of it.
I know.
It's a sad situation.
It's tough. I mean, the internet was brought upon us to try and bring people together. And what it's done, I think, is more or less put people into little, hidden in rooms and
I think it's a universal experience that can be used any way you want to use it. And it can be used for bad and good on both sides of the fence. And today, it's used as a controlling factor. Most people don't realize that, but it is. I mean, when you click on the internet, they already know your likes and desires because they have a complete background of the things you've clicked on, especially on Amazon. I buy a lot of things on Amazon, and as soon as you get on, you'll see the camera mounts or whatever you were buying before or looking at. They already got them flashing in front of your eyes. So it's an interesting anomaly. It really is. I don't know. I couldn't do the magazine without the internet.
No.
Could not do it. I mean, a one-man show when it comes to bringing everything together, and I
Sure.
do it at home
Mhm.
on my beautiful Mac, my 24-inch Macintosh. It's wonderful. It really is.
Well, like you said, there's good and bad to everything. And,
Yes, that's correct.
now, there's the Hudson, a beautiful thing, but it can be very dangerous.
Well, it can be dangerous, and I think as far as that is concerned, I would say that our lifestyles have changed to the point where you brought your children up and you took them down the river and you showed them what the dangers were. Today, the kids don't go to the river as they used to do, and they don't see it because their parents are busy or they're doing something else. It's not the same as it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago or 50 years ago, where the parents would say, don't do this or don't do that. Today, the kids are usually home, and then all of a sudden they look at the river and they think they can just go out there, have no idea. I was just thinking of something, Vinny Fafaro.
Mm-hmm.
Vinny and I would jump in the river at Steamboat Dock and swim all the way to Peekskill with the tide, And they say, where did they go? I said, I don't know, they'll be back. And we'd wait till the other tide and come back all the way down the river because we'd be hanging on a log or something and do it. I remember one day, Vinny is a great guy. You know him very well,
Yeah.
of course. Is he a relation?
No, but
You would think
us
he was a
Italians were
relation.
all,
Yeah. One day he swam across the river and they called the fire department.
Holy cow.
And he was laying on a rock on the other side and he, what's the fuss? They
Yeah.
said, you drowned. He said, I didn't drown, here I am. Come back.
I couldn't
Very
imagine it,
embarrassed.
but did he have something to hang on to?
No, he just swam across the river.
I can't get over that.
He's a wonderful guy. There it is. But a lot of great characters, in Verplank that have changed. They're all passed away. Most of them, Tucker, my goodness, Tucker Crawford,
Yeah.
catching sturgeon, Charlie White, Ace Lent, all those guys, they had their own, way of catching sturgeon. Big sturgeon, 7, 8-foot sturgeon.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, still there. Fish are still there. It's just that the traditions have died, and nobody knows how to do it anymore. The DEC does it, but, they catch 1 or 2 sturgeon. But we had a sturgeon season in 1995 for 2 weeks. In that time, the killers of the Hudson, Tucker and the guys that were still alive upriver, caught 300 7-foot or 8-foot sturgeon. Each sturgeon's worth $4,000 or $5,000. The DEC got so bent out of shape, they said, we got to stop. This is crazy. But these guys really knew how to catch fish. And they did. And they made a few bucks. And that was the last time there was ever a sturgeon season on the Hudson River. But you can still see them. They jump out of the water once in a while. Sometimes one will be dead on the side of the river.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that the river is in wonderful shape. There's 234 species of fish. A funny story, my son's house overlooks the river. He heard a thwomp on his upstairs balcony. He went out and there was a butterfish. Now the only reason the butterfish was still here, this was only 3 or 4 weeks ago, was a seagull dropped it, a seagull or an eagle. There's plenty of eagles in Verplank. It dropped it, and the butterfish was laying there. But the only reason that the fish were in the river is because of the warm water coming out of Indian Point. The fish would stay in the warm water plume. And so that's why they're here. But I don't think it harms anything. The river is, as I say, the species of fish are tremendous, and blue claw crabs, sturgeon, stripers, black bass. I even caught a trout a few years ago in the Hudson River, a 19-inch brook trout. So it's amazing what's there. It's just that the people don't use it as much as they used to use it. It's sad. I'm sorry to talk so much.
No, I mean, that's a big part of what the magazine is about. And like I said, this is what I'm trying to push as far as the show is concerned, that, we got to get involved in the community. You got to realize what's right outside your door, the Hudson River, the most beautiful thing in the world. And you got to get out and enjoy it. Don't complain that there's nothing to do. Get out there.
The sad part about it is most of the people who come here are newcomers to the area, and they have no idea of the tremendous assets that we have. It's wonderful. It really is. The river is in just great, great shape. Oh my God, in the fall, what can be prettier than going up the river by Bear Mountain? It's just beautiful.
The foliage. And
and people come from all over the world to see that.
Definitely.
They really do.
And I'm glad you said that, because you can be anywhere all over the world, and where does everybody want to go? To New York.
That's right. Yeah, the Hudson River. Yeah, the restaurants along the river, yours and others. It's just great. It is marvelous. It shouldn't be put down as much as it is. It should be brought up and boosted.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it is not. In everyone's minds, there's a negativity that shouldn't be there. But
that's fine. Like
Yeah.
we just said, there's a negative and positive everything.
Yeah.
Even the basic part of life, an atom, has positive and negative.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what life's all about. And, you can struggle or against it, or you can go with it. So,
Right.
And
How many children do you have?
me, none.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
No,
Oh,
that's all right.
okay.
I saw my older brothers get married, and it's not an easy thing, and people don't realize how hard marriage is,
Yes,
and
yeah.
raising kids,
Yeah,
and it
that's
is
true.
probably the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, it is very difficult.
And I wasn't ready to take on that responsibility, and I wouldn't unless I felt like I was.
There you go.
So,
Good. Well, a lot of wonderful kids who graduated, left Verplank, became lawyers, and everything else.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. It really is.
It is.
Yeah, terrific, marvelous.
Now, what's the biggest striper you've ever caught?
I've caught some in the 30s, 36-pound. When
No
you catch a
way.
big fish, like I wrote a book, I don't know whether you know that, called Hudson River Stripers, the guide. It's in all the libraries.
Okay.
I wrote a book in 1998. I got to tell you that story. I
All right.
couldn't type in '89. Could not type. I was always a salesman, but I could not type. So my daughter gave me a book called Self-Publishing by John Pointner. It said, "Do what you like." And all I ever did was fished and hunted, ice boated, flew, just had a wonderful life.
Yeah.
So I got to know the people who owned boating on the Hudson, and they encouraged me to write a book about what I knew on the river. And I wrote a book called Hudson River Stripers, the Guide, and that book gave me credibility. And started speaking in front of groups, and And it's just one thing after another. And then in 2000, the magazine was falling apart. The people were becoming ill who owned it, and they were going to shut it down. I said, I'll buy it. And in a year, I doubled it. And after that, I'll tell you another story about trademarks. This is a good one. When I got this book in 2000, it did not have a trademark. I hold a number of patents. But anyway, I looked at it, and I said, I wonder if they trademarked it. And I found out they never did trademark it. So I applied for a trademark, and it took me 3 years and about $5,000, I suppose. And in 2003, I won't name the chain of newspapers, but a chain of newspapers was starting a boating on the Hudson insert and calling my advertisers. I said, excuse me, I just got a federal trademark. That
Right.
was the end of everything.
See that?
They shut it right down. That was one of my better moves in life, was getting that
Oh,
trademark.
right.
And in fact, I just renewed it. Trademark is good for 12 years, you have to renew
Yeah.
it. But the trademark can become more valuable than the magazine itself. So,
Well, nothing's cheap anymore. We found a doctor's bill from 1954, and the delivery was $100.
wow.
And today, what is it like?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea.
$4,000.
Yeah, everything is very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some good things and bad things. You know, the medical that's keeping us all alive, the prostate medicines and the way if you take care of yourself, prostate can be taken care of. Replacement knees. I've had a replacement knee, a replacement hip.
Yeah.
12 years ago. I don't even feel it. It's great. Love it. My brother's the same thing. You know, so you keep right on going. You got to
That's
keep
it.
going. If you
That's right.
stop,
That's the key.
you're finished.
Without
You're
a doubt.
absolutely finished, and I'm not stopping.
Yeah. Now, besides all the running around you do, do you do anything exercise-wise?
I ride my bike. You
Okay.
probably see me on my
Yeah,
fold-out
of
bike all the
course.
time. I take that fold-out bike up to Walkway over the Hudson. You ever
Mhm.
been there?
Yes.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful.
Oh boy, I got to be careful what I say here.
Yeah.
We were on the Walkway over the Hudson on a little electric railway car before 2007, because the fellow who was in charge of trying to raise the money had a connection. And we had this guy bring this electric railway car, put it on, unlock the gate, and out we went, all rotted timbers. Halfway out, there was a fire. I was scared to death. I said, there was nothing but the rails, you know? And they said, now you got to get off. We got to turn around and coming back. I said, you pick it up and turn around with me on it. He goes, I'm not getting off this thing. And I said, if a helicopter comes along and sees us out here, we're all going to jail. But anyway, we turned around, went back, and had a big laugh over it. I got a video of that somewhere.
No way.
Amazing. Yeah. And then, of course, one of my very dear friends was instrumental in getting the first $7 million, and from there they raised a lot of money, and they rebuilt Walkway over the Hudson. That was a miracle, really. I mean, those people developed that bridge, and today I think there's been 1 million, 2 million people have crossed it. It's great. I take my bike there and ride it across and back. It's great.
Yep.
It's a wonderful success story, as many other places on the river are.
Yes.
So it's good. And Verplank itself, you know, Steamboat Dock has been cleaned up, you know.
Yeah, it looks
The
great.
seaplane base isn't there anymore, but there's a
No.
nice park. So things are good.
Definitely.
And sadly, we're all getting older, but things
Yeah,
are good.
we're going to be in big trouble when we lose your generation, I'll tell you that much. But
thank you. I
that's
appreciate
another
that.
story.
Yeah.
And, well, we just have probably about 30 seconds left, so thanks so much for coming.
It was a pleasure.
Oh, it was definitely a
It
pleasure.
really was.
And, you know, I
enjoyed your
usually
company.
cook on the show.
Oh, really? Where?
Yeah. Well, I knew we had a lot to talk about, so I didn't want to ruin it by trying to. And we couldn't cook fish because last time we cooked fish, it stunk the place up for a few days. So.
I see.
But next time, there's a part 2. Next time you come on, I'll make something.
Oh, sure. I'd love it.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Linguine and clam sauce.
All right. Well, I don't know about the fish. We'll have to make something good. But all right, get out, enjoy the Hudson River. John, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for watching. And this is the Community Show, and I'm Victor Margiotta.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.